Welcome to Cliffhangers and Cocktails podcast with Amy Sissel. That's me and my delightful co-host, Shéa McLeod.
That's me.
We are USA Today bestselling authors of paranormal women's fiction, among other things. And this podcast is brought to you, as always, by the Caftan Coven.
Woohoo! Today we're chatting with Delle, a super awesome human/genius tarot reader from Portland.
Where's Portland, Shéa?
Okay, so you know how you're in Portugal, but in a place called Porto?
Yes.
So if you go across the oceans and then across the continents, there's a place called Portland. Not Porto,
cool.
Portland. It's a very cool city in a place called Oregon, and it's very green, and the trees are right now trying to kill me. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So it's a place with murder trees.
It's a place with murder trees, but it's cool. And we'll also be talking about the usual drinkies, witchy things, and general shenanigans like murder trees.
Yes, clearly I can't keep the general shenanigans until after the introduction.
That is
sorry. Full of shenan.
It's pretty on brand. So that's cool. But I do have an excellent affirmation today. You ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
Good things happen to me every single day.
Damn Skippy they do.
Damn Skippy. Like we said in the, I think we talked about this a little bit in our interview with Delle.
Whether you think you can
or you can't.
Or think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
We don't know who that quote is attributed to, and we will not be looking it up.
We will not be discussing that. Yes. The point of this quote that I love about this quote, good things happen to me every single day. Because good things do, even when bad shit is going on. Mm-hmm. But if you only focus on the bad shit, that's just all your life becomes. So even when bad shit is going on, you have to pay attention to the good shit. So
that's correct.
Because good stuff happens. And I think the more and more that you focus on that, the more you kind of get in your life on at least a personal level of good stuff. And I've always kind of felt that way. So I'm like, good stuff.
And that's kind of why it's recommended sometimes to keep a gratitude journal, especially if you're having trouble finding things to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Just looking for those teeny tiny little things that are awesome. About 10 years ago, I started a 100 awesome days where every day I took a picture of something awesome on my Instagram, my little hashtag. And I didn't hit every day in 100 days, but I hit a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And it was a pretty great thing to now when I see it, like in my memories, like my time hop memories, not like in my mind's eye.
It comes up in my mind.
I wish it did more. But it's stuff like, oh, today I saw a cool leaf or whatever, you know?
Yeah,
totally. You're looking for those little things, the little everyday things that are good.
And even it's just today I woke up. Today I got out of bed. Sometimes that's a win in and of itself.
And that's a good thing to wake up. That's a good thing to happen.
That's a good thing to happen. Yay!
Oh, I'm so glad you woke up today, Shéa.
Thanks. I'm glad you woke up today, Amy. It could just be, the food that you're eating, or that you have Captain Crunch cereal, or whatever your favorite cereal is.
Do you have Captain Crunch cereal?
I don't, because I'm not actually a big Captain Crunch aficionado, because it tears up the roof of my mouth, and I don't.
Yeah, it's not good for the inside of a mouth.
It really is not.
Like peanut butter Captain Crunch, I really like the flavor of it, but I don't like how it cuts up my mouth. Also, I've never seen Captain Crunch here, so also I don't eat cereal anymore. It's not really my deal. I will stir some high-fiber muesli into my yogurt of a morning.
Yeah, my friend Christine gave me some granola from Hawaii, and it is so freaking good, and I eat it with some Greek yogurt and some fresh blueberries, and it's like angels and clouds.
I do love granola or muesli with Greek yogurt and fruit and a little bit of honey drizzled in, like some local honey. Yes, so welcome to old ladies talk about fiber breakfast. Look.
This is so random. Wow.
So, Shéa, tell me,
Yes,
before we
Amy.
talk to Delle, what
Okay.
else are we going to talk about today?
Well, I thought since Dell is coming on to talk to us about how they got into reading tarot, they also use oracle decks. And I've gotten this question a lot from people when I talk about them. What is the difference between tarot and oracle? And of course, when somebody asks me a question like that, I always just go, but, but. I mean, that's my
Which
brain.
is not as informative as it could be.
Right. So I thought it would just really something simple so that people know the difference, because sometimes it is like I wondered what the difference was myself. So a lot of times I'll have to end up going like on my phone and like reading them the answer, and then they're like, "Yeah, you are super knowledgeable."
And to be clear, Shéa knows the difference.
I do. I could just never explain the difference very well.
So we're here to articulate it for you today.
We are here to articulate it for you because, so I'm going to give you the easiest explanation ever. It's the TLDR version, which is basically tarot cards follow a set system, whereas oracle cards do not. So it's not about the themes, the art, or even the number of cards. It's about the system and history. Tarot cards date back like for many, many centuries, and oracle decks are a fairly modern invention. Now, that's not to say an oracle deck can't follow a system, but there's no set system for oracle decks.
Not every oracle deck that you get, but almost every oracle deck that you get is going to be a little bit different.
Right.
I have a series of oracle decks, The Seasons of the Witch by Julia Diaz, and they all follow the same system.
Yeah,
but
she
that's
has her own
within
system.
this certain set. But they don't follow the same system as like my Norse Scotic rune oracle. I'm just looking off over here where all my decks are. That's really, I think, what you were saying about they can follow a system.
Yeah, like tarot
it's not going to from creator to creator.
If you pick up two oracle decks from the same creator, it might follow their system because they've invented that system themselves. If you pick up from two different oracle creators, they're going to be two different systems. Tarot, of course, like I said, it has a very, very old history to it. It dates back to like, I want to say the 1400s or something like that. And it was initially it was kind of like a card game, and then the Romani people used it for telling fortunes, and so there's this whole, a lot of the actual origins and so on of tarot are kind of a little bit clouded in history because it evolved over time, but we're talking about 600 years of history at least.
And we'll have a couple of books linked in the show notes that Delle mentions about the history of tarot with the Romani people.
Yes.
So I have the books that they mention in there in the show notes.
Yeah, because I'm very, very curious about that. But the sort of historical origins of tarot, as far as we can tell, start in Italy as a card game, and then, the Romani are using them to tell fortunes, and then it's sort of moving throughout Europe. The card game moves throughout Europe, and with it kind of comes this idea of using it as a way to tell the future. Every deck in a tarot, every single one, if it's called a tarot, it's going to follow this. It has 22 major arcana cards, although some of the more modern decks are adding like a few extras now. And then they have...
Here's one. A major arcana. This is the Lovers.
The Lovers. That's a major arcana. And then they have 4 suits, each with 14 cards, 4 of which are court cards, and that's are what we call face cards, the king, the queen, and everything. So Knight of Cups. Yeah, so there's 78 cards in total in any tarot deck, unless they've added to the major arcana, which that's not a traditional thing. The major arcana is very specific, but some will add, and I would argue if they're adding those, they're actually oracle cards, not arcana cards. But
I would agree.
Yes. But let's not be too pedantic. You do you, boo. But this
I'm just holding them up
which
while
one
you
is
keep talking.
that? Which one is that one?
This is the Nine of Swords.
Ooh, that's pretty. It's sort of a nighttime scene with a crescent moon and a bird cage and some crows flitting about. I like that.
And we'll look at the Crow Tarot card deck again later.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
so if you're not watching, I'm just holding up a few cards to illustrate the suits and the various things.
Yeah.
And I'll put them all on Insta.
So basically, if you have ever seen a deck of playing cards like poker, ooh, Queen of Pentacles, that's essentially how the main part, the minor arcana of the tarot is set up. Those are based on that. So it's those cards plus the major arcana. So the suits and the court cards sort of might vary in how they're named. Like, I think the classic was, it's cups, swords, staves, and
Discs, something like coins.
Coins. I think it's coins. If it's a themed tarot deck, maybe instead of staves, it's like wands. Pentacles change. The one like pentacles, yep. Coins, discs. Each suit also stands for an element. Fire, air. I can't remember which one is the earth one, but sometimes they'll change that to stones.
Pentacles is earth.
Is that so? Yeah, I have a deck where the pentacles is stones or something like that. So they do sometimes change those, but they overall are the same thing. They follow that same structure. So even if the art is different, or maybe the names are a little different, the structure is the same. And then oracle decks can have any number of cards. And each card represents whatever the creator decides it represents. And there are oracle decks that range in 36. I think that's my smallest deck is either 28 or 36. I can't remember. It's a really small deck. To apparently like 101 cards. This, my favorite now
that is so pretty.
I know, the Nouveau Goddess Oracle deck, which we've talked about before. So we have the Wait for Clarity, which we pulled the other day, and we've got like ancestral guidance here. We've got I love this one, Celebrate, which is, kind of a beautiful art piece of people dancing in a field of flowers. Ask and Believe, which is Mucha painting. Mucha. This deck is 82 cards, which is a real chunker for an oracle deck. They generally tend to be fewer cards than a tarot, but not always, as we can see. There's just as many variations in what each card represent. I just love this deck. It's so gorgeous. That's why they all tend to come with, tarot usually comes with a deck, what do you call it? A booklet. A booklet, thank you, as well. But the oracle decks all come with booklets. Like a tarot deck, if you don't like the booklet that it comes with, you can just look up online what it means. Like, I tend to use Biddy Tarot a lot for the meanings. Because I like
that site. It's pretty clear.
It's clear, it's concise, it's easy to read, and it gives you like maybe some examples and things. She's really good at explaining that. So if I look that up, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. But you can't really do that with an oracle deck because it's the meaning of the person who created it. But the thing that's really cool is that it's also about your meaning. So it can take on a meaning for you. And that's actually the most important bit.
And we're going to say this in our interview with Delle, but one of the things I really enjoyed when I first met them, I met them on my very last night in Portland. You guys, I actually have heard of Portland before. I was just teasing at the beginning. I've been there. But my very last night in Portland before I moved to Portugal is when I met Delle and we'll talk about this a little bit in our interview with them. But what intrigued me so much about the way they read tarot cards was the way they used tarot and oracle together to tell a more complete story.
Right.
And that's something that I hadn't thought of doing in combination the way they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll walk us through that. So I'm not going
Yeah.
to get into it now because that would be pointless
Right.
because we're going to get it from the expert in a few
Exactly.
minutes.
Woohoo. I
But you
did
can use them together, which is cool.
absolutely a lot of. I've seen some readers. They'll do like a tarot spread, and then they'll use the oracle as a sort of a finishing flourish, or sometimes they'll use an oracle to clarify. Like, let's give me more clarity on this. And I was curious because I'm not going to talk about the reading that you shared with us, like the specifics, but you had done a layout that gave you some information, and then you did another layout that gave you a time period. Like, you're like, this is where I got the time period from. And I was really curious about that because I've never really understood how you tell time periods.
Well, what's fun with that is
Uh-huh.
the oracle deck that I used with my tarot deck
Uh-huh.
had a card. It's the Norse goddess oracle card, and one of the
Uh-huh.
Norse runes is the harvest rune, and it represents a 1-year harvest cycle. And so it's
Oh.
because I pulled that specific
It's because you pulled
card.
that specific card. Okay.
Yeah, and that card is associated with a
Ah.
1-year farming cycle, and
Ha
so
ha.
the book very much said this can be interpreted as a solar year. And this is what you're looking at. If you're looking at something time limited, you're looking
In-
at a solar year. And I was
Interesting.
looking for
Yeah.
something that I was delighted to have a time period on that. It worked
Yeah.
really well for what I needed at that point in time.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's how that came. So, like, depending on what oracle decks you have and how they fit with your reading,
Yeah.
you can get that kind of specificity that you
Right.
wouldn't necessarily get.
I had a reading one time by someone who told me that typically with tarot, it's 6 months to a year out is generally what it doesn't like go past, it's not like a long term necessarily. And so I don't know if all readers feel that's the case, but I think I was really
If
curious.
you are a reader, let
Yeah.
us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I really want to know what your opinions are on, like, when you're future casting with tarot or oracle decks,
Mhm.
what kind of a time period do you have in mind? Like,
Yeah.
do you agree that this is a 6 month to a year situation?
Right. Yeah, because that was what I was told. And maybe that was just that one reader. So I thought it was really interesting that you had said that this oracle deck told me that. And I was like, ooh, well, how did that work? Because what was interesting was when I was doing a draw, the one that I shared, the cards that I was pulling were all sort of summer cards. Like, they had a summer vibe to them just because of like the flowers that were on the card. This feels to me like this is something that's going to happen by summer, kind of a thing, which we're getting real close to now. But I wonder, so that was just like my vibe that I got. But like, and I wasn't sure because I've never really tried to do like a timeline myself in my own readings. So I was really curious. So,
I have at times made my question time specific.
mm,
I will do at the beginning of a month.
mm-hmm.
This is the question I have for May, which is over.
Okay.
So I don't actually have any questions for May other than why were you so busy? Oh my God. I very often will do a 3-card spread at the beginning of the month saying, this is where I'm at right now. This is where I need to be by the end of the month. And this is how I get there. And then now that I have talked to Delle and done a little bit more work with using oracle cards to define more what I'm going to do, I think that that's probably something I will continue to do is do my 3-card spread at the beginning of the month. And here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to be. Or here's where I'll be. How do I get there? And that's not just me then making these. I mean, it's still me just interpreting things for myself.
Right.
And I think it's always nice to go get a second opinion, if you will, from a professional who isn't tied into your psyche.
Yeah.
But there's not, I've heard people say that you should never read for yourself, and I think that's bullpucky.
I think that's nonsense.
I like to say bullpucky. I swear.
Bullpucky is a great word.
But it is nice to get a second opinion from time to time.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways that I use tarot and oracle together now.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. See, because I think reading for yourself is a way to calm your mind, calm your tits, as my cousin would say. Just bring
the one party tit. Woo!
Except for the one party tit.
Sorry,
Let
everyone.
that tit out. No. But it is a way to calm down, focus, and then I do think there's a level of your own inner self, your universal self, whatever, sort of connecting with the cards. And what I think it helps is it helps bring clarity to your own, because the answers are within you anyway. You have, they're there, and it's just about that clarification, and it helps you focus and clarify. And if you pull a card and you really are like about the meaning, oh no, that's not. Then that also...
Then you're using my daughter's cat tarot deck, and you should maybe back off from her stuff, y'all. That's hers.
But I think it gives you an opportunity to think about, why am I having this reaction to this card? What is it about this card that I'm having such a negative reaction to that?
I think anytime you have a knee-jerk to anything, whether it's what's coming up in your cards, what you've read on the interwebs, something that somebody has said about, for example, if you are a man and somebody says something about a man and you're like, not all men, then you need to figure out why you felt that way. If somebody says, oh, white women, and you're like, not all white women. Sorry about screaming in your ear that last time. If you're knee jerking, it's what's that saying? A hit dog hollers, right? So those are real world examples, as is the tarot. But if something's coming up in your tarot readings and it's making you knee jerk, then you need to figure out why. Whether it's something that's 5 minutes of thinking about will answer, or you need to go do some shadow work. To kind of look into what part of your psyche is having a reaction here, then you need to do that. Don't just dismiss it as this is wrong. You can eventually.
Yeah.
If it turns out it's wrong, then dismiss it. But don't dismiss it out of hand if it's giving you a knee jerk.
Absolutely, because that means something. That's triggering something.
Yep.
In honor of our guest today, we have a really fancy cocktail here.
Well, so Delle suggested 2 cocktails.
Yes, that's correct. Bergamot Old Fashioned.
The Bergamot Old Fashioned.
Yeah.
And an Empress Gin French 75.
That's right.
So
I'd forgotten to mention that one.
Shea and I are givers.
Yes.
You split duties on this.
We did.
And so Shea's doing the Old Fashioned, and I'm doing the French 75.
Yes. An Old Fashioned is actually incredibly easy to make. It's one of the simpler ones. But if you're like, oh, I don't bergamot, I don't what? It's Earl Grey tea. And you're basically making a simple syrup out of Earl Grey tea. It's that easy. I just did mine with bourbon, Earl Grey syrup, and then I used a couple dashes of orange bitters instead of Angostura bitters. I always put some orange and maraschino cherry in mine, although I did not this time because this is actually an oddball. I started out to make an Old Fashioned, realized I was out of Earl Grey syrup, didn't have time to make any more, so I decided to switch to a highball mid-channel, only instead of opening a bottle of ginger beer, I just decided to do it with tonic water. And so I call it an oddball instead of a highball, or,
When I'm having a fairly traditional French 75, Delle, they specified Empress Gin, which is the purple gin. I'm not going to go buy purple gin because I have 7,000 gins in my cupboard, and I don't need to go buy any purple gin. So I made my own because that's how I roll.
Look at you, so fancy.
So I have my purple gin that I made with London dry gin and butterfly pea flowers. And I bluified my gin. And then it's just simple syrup and lemon juice, and that's what gives it the purple color.
Yep.
And then topped with espumante, because I live in Portugal. And that's our bubble.
Nice. And we've talked a lot in the past about bourbon energy, orange energy, all of that. But bergamot energy, which bergamot is what gives Earl Grey that specific flavor. It's a citrus. It's celebrated in aromatherapy and spiritual practices for its uplifting, protective, and abundance-attracting properties. Acting as liquid sunshine, this citrus fruit is highly valued for dispelling negative energy, easing anxious thoughts, and boosting self-confidence. So the energy of the Bergamot Old Fashioned would be prosperity, self-confidence, and joy.
And for the French 75, again, this isn't our first French 75 rodeo.
Yeah.
In the least. This is one of my favorite cocktails. It's probably my favorite cocktail. If I had to pick one.
Okay.
This is it. And so gin is purification, protection. Lemon juice is purification and protection. Espumante is love and celebration. And then you have the sugar, and I don't know what that is.
Well, it adds sweetness to life. It adds sweetness to life, and it attracts abundance.
Yay, so this is protection, purification, celebration, and abundance.
Yes. Woohoo. Chin chin. Or how do they say? How do they say? Salud.
Not with an L though here. Saud.
Saud.
Pretend there's Saud.
Saud. Okay. Love it.
Thanks, Delle.
Thanks, Delle. And speaking of Delle, let's go talk to them and see what they have to say about Oracle and Tarot.
Better stuff than we do, for sure. I am super excited today to welcome Delle to the podcast. Delle, who uses they, them pronouns, is the tarot reader behind Babetriarch Tarot and has been reading cards for more than 20 years. Wow. What started as readings for friends and family has grown into a community practice rooted in reflection, intuition, and radical self-trust. Delle works with tarot as a daily ritual, using the cards to set intentions and explore life through a wider lens. As a queer, non-binary guide and community builder, they create spaces where people feel seen, feel like they belong, and reconnect to their own inner authority. With Babetriarch Tarot, the cards aren't about predicting an unchangeable future. They're about helping you claim your place in it.
Ooh, I love that.
I met Delle on my very last day in Portland, hanging out with my friend Sam at my very favorite wine bar in Portland. And it was watercolor and tarot night. And I was like, well, this is very interesting. And then Delle sets up beside us, and I'm like, nosing over the curtain. And then as soon as there was a break in the activity, I'm like, how much money do you want? I need you to tell my future. I think I might have been slightly less weird than that, but
it was less weird. I can attest to the fact that it was less weird. It was delightfully Portland normal.
Well, Portland normal is well,
a little weird, but not too weird.
So I met Delle at a wine bar, but I believe Shéa has a much more important question for them.
Oh, I do. So first I want to say, welcome, Delle.
Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you with us. Of course, Amy told me the story of how she met you, and apparently there was cash money involved, and...
Sounds much more illicit when you say
that.
Right?
I always call it cash money just so it sounds a little extra.
I like that.
Very extra. So I've been really excited to have you here with us. So here is my most important this is probably the most important question you will ever be asked in your life. What is your favorite cocktail?
This was a little bit hard for me because I love whiskey. I love whiskey. But with the aging process, the whiskey is not landing as gently as it used to land. So I will tell you that one of my favorite old fashions is made with a bergamot liqueur called Italicus. Ooh. And it did as the sweetener in the old fashioned, and it is absolutely delicious. I also really love gins, and I like the gins that are not very juniper-y. So that's what I brought today, is the French 75. Yes. And we did a gin tasting at our house last weekend with friends. And so this is a different gin. I haven't tried this gin before this weekend. It's by Empress, and I like they have a purple one where when you add the citrus, you get a little magic and it changes color.
Yep.
This is also Empress, but it is elderflower, rose, and black carrot.
Is that their new one that they just put out? I don't know.
It seems like it. We were at the liquor store, and they had 4 different Empress varieties, and I was like, black carrot and rose. I was like, that's the kind of witchy level I want to get involved in. Like,
okay, so I need to know more about this. I will be doing my own research. Everyone's coming out of this with homework. Mine is an Au Pair London Dry gin, because I don't have Empress, but I made it with the butterfly pea flowers, which is what gives Empress its color.
yes.
And then with the citrus. I did chemistry. I took pictures yesterday because I had to experiment with what gin would work best, obviously.
Obviously, taste testing.
So it's more purple than yesterday, but still I have not achieved the level of purple that I want.
I love that you added it yourself. I have not experimented with that. It sounds really fun.
I love better living through chemistry, both cocktails and mental health drugs.
Amen.
Here, here. And I am drinking my version of a Bergamot Old Fashioned. I do not have the bergamot liqueur. Essentially, what is Earl Grey tea, but black tea with bergamot in it. So I made a simple syrup, got a little fresh orange, the yummiest orange, and these cherries were from the bitters that I made the other day. So they're quite boozy. So so that's my version of a Bergamot Old Fashioned.
I love it. Thank you for giving me an excuse to have a cocktail in the middle of a day.
I know, right? Day drinking for the win. We can thank Amy for moving to Portugal.
Tell us about your witchy spiritual journey, as much as you want to, of course, and why did you pick up that first deck? We know when, more or less, from your bio, but why?
The very first deck I picked up was in my early 20s, and I was in a place where I was like, we're strapped for cash, right? Like, you're getting your first job, you're figuring things out, everything feels expensive, your whole existence. And I told myself that if I found this deck 3 times, I would buy it. Because it was a whopping, I don't know, $20 or $25, and at the time that was a big expenditure. It popped up, and I was at Seattle Pride. It was my first time at a really huge Pride festival, and I had moved away from home and done all the things, and my heart was just kind of like cracking open, right? And there's all these possibilities, and I'm around all of this beautiful queer energy and feeling alive and awake, and there was the deck. And so I picked it up. I brought it with me today. I brought a stack of decks with me, and it's a goddess deck. And so, like, here is the moon card, represented by Diana.
Nice.
Artemis has always been one of my very important archetypes to me. And so I love that. And so it goes through, and each one of the suits honors a different goddess from a different culture. And then all of the major arcana are all represented by all these different goddesses throughout a number of different traditions and histories and sort of thing. And so I love it. It's so familiar to me. The little booklet that came with it is just like, beat to hell now, because and anytime I'm having a hard time doing a reading for myself and I need some objectivity, that is the book I go for. I grab that one and I go back to my roots and I say, okay, where did this start? How did I start learning this? And so it just resonated with the energy of where I was at the time, and I loved that it was femme-centric, and I loved that it was a little bit cross-cultural, and it just brought all those different elements into it. I mean, and it's pretty, right? Like, there's the wands.
So pretty.
Are like these rich orange colors. It represents the fire. And the pentacles have the traditional, like, gold coins.
Oh, yeah.
They also have these lovely greens in them. Mm-hmm. And so it was just like a very cozy deck to get started and kind of build from. So I grew up in a family that was non-practicing Lutherans. And I went to a Catholic high school, and somewhere in there was a spiritual journey for me where I got involved in the Bible studies and the this and the that. And by the time I got to college, the queerness that I had come to know about myself and my political beliefs were starting to rub up against those Catholic and Christian beliefs that I had been taught. But I knew that there was something good that had come out of all of that. Having a spiritual practice, being in touch with a higher power, taking time to, what I now say meditate, but would have said pray at the time. Yeah. Like all of those pieces, those were incredible takeaways that I didn't get from my family of origin and that came to me through exploring religion. And then when I kind of cracked it open and I was like, oh, there's all these other things out here that if I pick and choose, that starts to create a worldview that I'm actually like super comfortable with and I'm happy practicing and I'm happy being a part of. And so, so it's like, why did I pick up my first deck? I can't really tell you, except that I wanted more.
It called to you, basically.
Yeah, it did. It did. And it started speaking to me. And at that point I had a couple readings and I had from professional readers and I'd done some reading about it and that sort of thing. And I had been studying different religions throughout the world and that sort of thing. And so tarot just spoke to me as like a tool that like we can have immediate access to no matter who you are or where you are. And I loved that. I loved how creative it was. And every time you pick up a deck, it's like 70 plus little pieces of art. And that's really beautiful to me too.
Yeah, I have a habit, a somewhat of a tarot oracle deck habit.
Yes.
And I have backed many more Kickstarters than I would like to admit to publicly. 68. At least half of those were tarot, I think, or a third, something like that. A third to I'd have to count, but yeah, I have so
Counting
many.
is not.
Yeah, it's like I've got so many.
This is amazing.
Like here's a couple of them. I've got goddess ones and art deco ones. This cracked amethyst one is one of my favorites. Like so many. They're all over. I can't even.
Sitting, I can only see maybe
how many 15 decks?
There's more in my bedroom.
Yeah, I've got.
Y'all, you are my people. I love this.
My most recent deck is this one, which is just a old. Now let's see if I get this right. Oh no, I almost said it again. Raider White. I keep calling it Raider White. It's Raider White. But they're like little playing card size. Like they're so cute. And my friend Christine got those for me for my birthday. So that's my latest deck.
Well, and that's what is happening now, right? Is that like people know that you love the thing and they see it and they think of you and they bring it into your life, right? Or like I go on a trip and I'm like, let's find the witchy bookstore and let me, that sort of thing. I apparently need to give myself permission to make more purchases because my numbers are nowhere near as high as y'all's, and I'm like, these are life goals.
We'll write. Amy will write you a prescription for more.
I do that for people. Yeah. I will write you a prescription.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
My first deck is in my bedroom. But my second deck that I ever bought when I was feeling full of whimsy it's unicorns.
Cute.
This is my card that I like to keep front and center as my Three of Cups. I don't use this deck for readings anymore. It just sits here and is fun for me. Three of Cups, because I like this.
To be perfectly honest, I don't remember my first deck.
Really?
I think it was a goddess deck as well. Not the same goddess deck, a different one.
Yeah. I'm
fairly certain. I know the second one was a steampunk deck.
Cute.
But I actually, I'm not super clear on my first one. I just know they started talking and I started buying like a crazy person.
That's how it goes. Yeah. When you find love, and you run at it. I just got that deck.
The Crow Tarot, yes.
This is my go-to one that I use most of the time.
Amy and I have gifted each other many tarot and oracle decks as well.
And it's so interesting how different people resonate with the different decks and the different artistry. So the event that Amy and I met at, that you mentioned earlier, was, it's called Witchy Watercolors. If you're in Portland, you can find us on Instagram. It's my friend Jess's business. She teaches watercolor classes. You can do non-tarot classes with her too, but the project that we work on together is it's a sip-in paint. And so we go to different venues, and she teaches you 2 postcard size watercolor paintings that are tarot themed, and I do tarot readings along with that. And so I've talked to, at this point, in the last 4 or 5 years, I guess it's 4 years, I mean, hundreds of people about their tarot practice and what deck they have. And I'm not a reader. I've just had a deck for 8 years. And I'm like, you're a reader. Like, it's okay if you're still using the book. I don't care. Yeah. You are taking the time to be in tune with yourself, be in tune with the cards. Like, you are a reader. And it's so interesting when people are like, oh, but I have this stained glass cat deck that has crowns on, you know what I mean? And whatever the specific art is, and they just light up talking about it because they found this little portable thing that represents, like, their heart. And it's this, like, safe place for them to land, whatever the art is. And I don't know, it's really fun seeing people kind of light up talking about their decks.
My favorite deck was the Wild Unknown Tarot.
Ooh.
By Kim Kranz. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, she's a Portland artist.
Is she? I had no idea.
Yeah.
Someone had posted it online, and I fell in love with the art, like, hard. And so I ordered it, and the minute it came, my soul just connected to it. And it was not my first deck by, I think I was on... It was one of the early ones.
A friend gifted me a book of her art somewhere along the line, and it's one of those where you're supposed to kind of like journal in it or doodle in it or do something, and I was like, I cannot. This is too pretty.
I can't deface the pretty.
No, like, I understand that you are inviting me into this process to co-create with you in this book, and I can't do it. It's too nice. I go mess up a palette, I'll go do all kinds of other things, but not this pretty book.
Do you have a favorite deck, or do you kind of cycle through what you got going on? I know you said you always come back to the Goddess deck if you're looking for that, but are there others that you want to share?
It feels like it's like 4 different scenarios. I like different things. So, like at Witchy Watercolors, I use the Modern Witch Tarot.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that one.
I have that.
It's great, right? And it uses traditional archetypes enough that people who are brand new can kind of see the trends. They see all the pentacles are pentacles and all the swords are swords, and it's like very clear to them. But it uses, a more diverse and increasingly diverse, like, body types and races and genders and things like that. So I really, really love that. The Crow Tarot is the one I keep coming back to for myself. It's so funny that you pulled that one out, because that is one that, like, if I'm just reading for me, I will get out pretty regularly. And then I was just gifted, I forgot to look up the name of it today, but a deck that is in an Art Nouveau style, and it has 4 lovers cards representing different gender combinations and variations and non-binary. And of course, there's way more than 4, but 4 is very expansive to define the lovers card. Yeah. So I loved that. And then there's this other one that I love that I think is really hard for new people, for people new to the art. It's Next World Tarot by Christy C. Rode. And it's super radical. It's super radical. It pictures people at protests. There's Black Lives Matter art. The Devil card has a certain orange maniac on it. Just all kinds of stuff. There's Molotov cocktails for the wands in one of the pictures.
Oh my God.
And I'm like so in love with it. And it's like, I almost want to call the art like dystopian, but it's so hopeful that I can't. Yeah. That dystopian doesn't feel like the right word.
It's called hope punk.
Hope punk? Mm-hmm. Yes, that's exactly what this is. I didn't know that was a word.
It is a word. It was coined by a woman. I cannot remember her name. Back in, it was like 2017, I think, to basically describe the opposite of like grimdark.
Yeah.
And so hope punk has become a whole genre in like writing. And it fits in with like climate fiction, cli-fi, and which I love that
like
term,
that.
cli-fi. Yeah,
I don't like it.
Yeah.
climate fiction. But like, it's all like an eco fiction and stuff but it all is. Yeah, so it's basically it's hope as punk, essentially. That hope is badass, and true hope takes work. Is essentially the message, and
I like this.
yeah, so that fits.
That is
right
very
in.
much how this deck feels to me. Like, here's the Queen of Pentacles, and it's a person that I would say the character looks to be like a member of my queer community, and it feels to me like they're on a reclaimed bus that's been repurposed. And I mean, look at that queen energy, right? It's
So
like community.
amazing.
It's this beautiful
Yes.
sunset, like. So I really like to use this deck to read for myself also, because it really flips the ideas on its head, and it really like centers community and sharing and mutual aid and revolution and, you know, like be the change you want to see in the world. And sometimes that involves radical, feisty, fiery fighting. And I love that.
And for those of you listening and not seeing, go check
I'm
out
so
our
sorry.
social media. No, it's cool. Go check out our social media, and I will drop pictures of everything we're talking about here, so
I'm excited.
you too can see what we're seeing.
I love it. Yeah, it's so much fun, and it's so nice to kind of settle into the different things and the different pieces of art and figure out like kind of what expresses what you're feeling at this time and what resonates with that, and be with that as a part of the reflection process through the cards. I think it matters.
Amy had a reading from you, and she really loved that like you used an oracle deck to kind of further dive in. So kind of tell us kind of your method when you're reading for someone.
Yeah, so I started reading, like I said, 25 years ago, in my early 20s. And in my, I guess it would have been my early 30s, I studied under Radiant Red. She's a practitioner who's out of Vancouver, Washington at the time. Sandy is her name. I was really in my head when I was doing readings for myself, like really thinking the interpretation of the card. What does the card mean? What does the book say? And she's like, hold up, I want you to just back up. I want you to go, I think we said 60 days without using any tarot cards. And I just want you to use an oracle deck. And she handed me a deck off of her shelf and said, go practice. It was this really interesting practice to step back and not think so hard about what does the card mean. Because on most oracle decks, the card literally says what it means.
Right.
You don't have to think. You really have to sit with your feelings about it and say, this card is saying today is about pause. This card is saying this today is about play, or whatever the style of deck is. That was really hard for me to sit there and really come up with my own interpretation and to say, this is what this means to me and this is how I'm going to live that out, rather than the card told me or the card said, you know, that sort of thing, and really, really sit with that. And so when I do the mini readings, the 4-card readings like we did, like Amy and I did, I find it to be like a nice punctuation mark for the person, especially folks who are new to the cards. Okay, great. I flipped all these cards. I've told you about the imagery and what the imagery represents, and we've woven together this chronology of kind of what's happening, what the universe wants you to know right now. And then let's flip over one more card. And the number of times that it just is like the briefest summary statement of what the other 4 cards just said is phenomenal. Like, if I had even doubted the power of the cards, statistically, the ability for you to draw 4 cards out of this deck and 1 card out of this deck and have them say the same darn thing is it's mind-blowing. And so I love that. It's just like a really succinct, let's get out of the storylines and just hit the nail on the head. And I think there's a component of like, well, you could just draw an oracle card and skip all the rest of it. But I love the exploration and the what do you think about this and how does that sit with you, and helping people kind of like walk through their reflection process through the cards. And then the oracle card kind of representing this thing that sometimes is like easier to remember as they walk away.
Yeah, because I've had many readings where I couldn't remember which cards were drawn, but I could remember the theme of the reading. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, for me, I mean, I was obviously having a transition in my life where I was moving to a new country.
Big
But
Ed.
there was one card that came out, and I'm like, this one is not hitting me. Like, I'm not feeling connected to this card. And don't ask me what it was, because it's private. Not because I don't remember, because it's private.
Absolutely.
Totally
Yes.
private. Yes.
Very, very private information. It also, when you flip the oracle card on top of that, it all kind of connected together. And then I was like, oh, now I see how this is fitting in with everything else. And I went to see if I'd taken a picture of it. But you know what I have a picture of that night is a sunset. And that's it. My last Portland sunset.
Which I am glad you have that picture.
Yeah.
That is also a great picture to have. And also,
And then the
that's
next
very funny.
picture is my feet, my daughter's feet, and her stuffy jelly on the carpet at PDX.
And the stuffy.
Gotta have that
Jelly
stuff.
is a world traveling stuffed cat. She has her own Instagram and everything.
I follow Jelly.
Okay, need that link.
I enjoy Jelly's adventures. Yeah.
Hello. Well, and it's interesting because I call it reading amnesia. I can meet you again someplace and I can know that we had a reading. Sometimes I've met 20 people in a night and I won't remember a person by a face, but often I will remember people by a face or like a vibe about them, right? Like, oh, you were sad that night or you were excited that night or whatever. I cannot tell you what we read. And it's like, on the one hand, I feel a little bit bad. And on the other hand, this is really great for your confidentiality. Because I will never tell anyone what we talked about because I can't remember. And I think but that's also part of the power in the moment, is to say, like, this is where I was at that day, and I took from it what I needed to take from it, and I move forward. I do encourage folks that visit with me to take a picture of their cards when I do online readings. Over Zoom or Google Meet. I send people the photos afterwards so that they have them as a reference point if they want them. And that's part of my own personal practice. On my Instagram, you can see that, like, I post my own readings so that I do a couple times a week. There's power in what you remembered from that and how you used it, as opposed to the chronology of all the things. Like, this day it said this, and this day it said that, and this day it said that. But, like, it should empower us to go out in the world and make the world a better place, bring us and our people to a closer to our truest joy, or our highest abilities, right? So, like, we don't have to hold on to all of it. We can just kind of let it breathe also.
Well, I do remember that mine was a lot about change.
If there hadn't have been, I'd be like, girl.
It was
That would have been weird.
That would have been real weird.
leading up to that. Almost every reading that I did for myself, leading up like the 6 to 8 months before I moved, regardless of deck, always had the Wheel of Fortune in it, to the point where I was like, I know.
Leave me alone.
Please stop. And Ten of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune were in, like, everything. They showed up everywhere. And I'm like, I know, and I am hearing you, but, like, I'm working on stuff, okay?
Okay. But you know what I do when that happens is I pull those out at the beginning of the reading, and I set them. If it's a big reading, I'll put them at the center. If it's a small reading, I'll just put them all, like, almost like altar style, just on the table. And I will say, okay, we can't draw those cards. We have to pick different words to talk to me through right now, because I'm not getting it. And so we're going to force the cards to give me slightly different message. And usually it starts to, like, kind of pull it out. But one of the oracle decks, I don't remember if it's the one you and I used that night, Amy, but one of my oracle decks, this lizard followed me around for like 9 months. And I was just like, and it's about like cutting something off and regrowth. And I was like, I am clearly not cutting off the thing I'm supposed to cut off. I don't know what you want from me. And so I just started, it just sat out on my altar. And then I just drew cards around it, because I was like, I'm not getting the message. We just need different words. Let's go a different angle here.
That's That's such a great idea.
wild.
And I think I said 10 of swords. I meant 9 of swords. So that's very different.
Yeah.
9 of swords with the Wheel of Fortune and not 10 of swords. They're not showing up anymore. So whatever this move was, got rid of those cards anyway.
It cranked through it. Yeah, you did what you needed to do to get on the other side of that wheel. And I tell you, the Wheel of Fortune is one of those cards that when it comes up in a reading, I'm like, I don't know if I can help you. It is so, like, everything's going to happen for a reason and everything's going to keep happening. Strap in because you're going for a ride. And you're like, okay, great. And if it's reversed, I'm like, maybe you're not the main character. Maybe you're attached to somebody else's wheel and you're getting pulled through this because it's not your storyline. But also, yeah, you're kind of... And it's not always bad. It's not the Tower or the Devil or like, the, you know, even the Three of Swords. It's not like these like tumultuous things. But you're going to go through it until you're not going through it anymore. And you might not be able to control that. And that part's wacky sometimes and very uncomfortable for people.
Yeah, I went through it.
Mm-hmm.
I went through it.
A little bit.
No,
A little
here I
bit.
am.
Mm-hmm.
And here you are on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about your tarot practice and that you were doing these readings. This is part of your job. You are professional. But do you have other oracular or spiritual interests that you practice that you want to talk about or share? We are obviously not asking you to disclose anything personal unless you want to.
Unless you want
I
to.
want you to. I'm just nosy.
Well, I did get a set of runes, and I think I finally found there's a queer runes. I didn't write it down. I just found a book the other day that is the runes written from a modern queer perspective. And so I do want to learn how to do that, but I have not studied them. My ancestry is German and Irish, and so that feels like a good place to go. Like, that's one of the weird things about practicing tarot so much is that this is not my family's ancestry. And this is not, you know, it is the Romani people who carried this through so much persecution and so much mistreatment to bring it into modern society, where I'm in Portland, Oregon in a bar doing readings, right? Like, the levels of magnitude here are, like, not the same. And so I would want to learn runes. And I have I have a hard time remembering astrology stuff. I don't know why I can remember. I've found a storyline through the tarot cards. Astrology is hard for me. I don't know.
There's degrees and houses and whatever, but like, I mean, I can remember some things, but not all of, I mean, there's so much.
I have a dear friend, Opal, who can...
stuff about me, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? I have a dear friend, Opal, she could just, like, rattle it all off. And she's like, oh, well, that's because so-and-so is a such and such, and they're processing this and this and this way. And I'm like, how did you remember their birthday? I gotta write that down on a Google Calendar. Like, I'm amazed right now. But there is I'd call it a subset. I don't know if the author would call it that, moonology, that I am getting into through one of my teachers, Eva, and she does a moon circle dance once a month. Ooh. And so we get together and we talk about the astrological happenings around the moon, and everybody in the community, there's usually like 8 or 10 of us in the room. So it's a group, but it's not like a massive group. Everybody kind of shares a little bit about what they've been going through, what they've been working on since the last new moon. And then we do a somatic dance afterwards to kind of work through any feelings and whatever else related to whatever is happening. And that's been really grounding for me the last few years. It's also an online practice, so you can do it like wherever, you can join the group from wherever you are. And I love...
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Right? Like, if I feel like introverting, I just don't talk as much at group. And then I dance in my own home. And I can turn my video off if I don't feel like anybody looking at me, you know, those sorts of things. So I have really gotten into that, but I cannot say that I'm a good astrology practitioner or I am knowledgeable in that area. But I do love it. Yeah, because you said spiritual practice. I guess the other thing is like the breath work and the meditation work that I've learned through yoga. And like American yoga, Western yoga is this like asana, athletic, buy the right pants,
Hot
kind
yoga, Bikram.
of. Right,
have
it's
to
become
talk.
this health trend where you're supposed to be skinny and in expensive pants, and it's like, I don't love that. But the teacher I studied with is Susanna Barkataki, and she's
Oh,
awesome.
I know who
And
that is. Yes.
I don't, but I'm going to
Sorry,
write
I
it
got
down.
excited.
yeah, Ignite. Oh man, I should know
Yeah.
this. The name of the
I-
business is Ignite, and then I'm like, is it wellness in
Eh.
yoga or is it Ignite Yoga? Barkataki,
You know what?
Susanna Barkataki.
It'll be in the show notes.
Thank
because
you.
I know.
We'll get it right
but I
that
don't remember-
time.
Yes. Homework.
She's phenomenal. And her whole team of humans and all the different teachers that she brings through to speak from different perspectives and that sort of thing. So during the pandemic, I did a 200-hour course with her, and I just, it really like shifted how I see my body, how I see the world. That's the period where I got settled in with my identity as a they, them, femme, as a queer person. And she's just... She's amazing, but also the historical practices of yoga, of sitting with your breath and having a focus and just revisiting the limbs of yoga and kind of going back to that has been really, really good for me also. And it's not the same as tarot, and it is not the same as Buddhism, right? Like all these things are distinct, but for me, there's a resonance in all of those different pockets that one kind of helps the other. My breath work helps me get centered so that I give a better tarot reading. Because there's a tarot reader that's coming from here, and that's Delle, who sees the world through a certain lens and has a life coach training and blah, blah, blah. And then there's this little voice that comes through here while I'm doing readings. And the more breath work and meditation that I've done, the clearer this voice is to separate out from all the other junk. But that's why my best friends can't get a reading from me after more than 2 glasses of wine, because then it's all this. And sorry, for people listening, I'm doing this as like the mouth by my mouth, and then this is the mouth on the top of my head. And after too many drinks, it's all my mouth and not the divine download anymore. There's a limit.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love when people talk about yoga and the practices of yoga and they take it beyond what we've learned as Western yoga. And I don't know how you started with yoga, but for me, it was very much Western yoga.
Yeah.
And there's so much that's left out of that. So if you are somebody who's interested in yoga, practices yoga, go do some exploration and learn about what yoga started as, because there's so much more than just the asana, the poses.
Right. And the asana is important and it's valuable.
Oh, yes.
It's not that it's not valuable, but there's
No, it's just one part
so
of it.
much more. Yes.
Yeah. I remember the first time I went to a yoga class and I actually got injured. It was so focused on the physicality and not the mindset behind it, not the breath work, not the being in tune with your body. So I recently learned about, I'm totally blanking on the type of yoga, but it's like basically where you just sort of lie there and breathe. And like
Restorative, yin, there's a few different
you kind of
versions.
scan the body kind of a like thing. I want to say like it started with an N, and that's something I want to look more into because of my physical body being unable to even do the most basic yoga, really, other than maybe the cat and the cow very gently.
And that matters, right? Because
Yeah.
we have to listen to our bodies. And the amount of not listening to my body that I've done in my life, either because I was overriding whatever message my body was giving me, or because I was too busy, or because, whatever, whether it was intentional or unintentional, it just ignored so many things, and that has ended up in chronic pain. But it is also just like, those are intuitive downloads that we're getting all the time about how to proceed with a situation. And again, that's part of what I like about the tarot. It's like, let's pause. Because even if you don't believe in the magic of the tarot and I flip a card over and you get mad, that's a data point on the question you asked. It's a Rorschach test at that point, and that's still valuable. That still does you some good as a practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask you a question, Amy?
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier the Three of Cups being like one of your favorite cards, and that's the imagery that's my Babetriarch logo because I also love that card. So I'm curious for you, like, what is it about that card that resonates and feels special?
Well, I think because it's just such a friendship card. I think it's got that connection, and it's about for me, it's strong female friendships. It's having that female community, and it's just about having a supportive found family.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's why
yeah.
that's on this deck. When I pick it up, that's the first card I see.
Ooh, love it.
That's so great. That's so great. I love it. I also interpret it as the maid matron crone, and I think that like no matter what stage of life you're in, like either you need community or you need to tune into yourself, and depending on the situation, those are both so valuable. And I just, yeah. So thank you. I was curious. I was super curious because I get really excited about that card.
I don't know if I have a favorite.
I have a lot of different favorite cards, but that's the one that sits on this deck. Because the decks that I don't use as often, I will often have like my favorite card from the deck or something that's resonated with me just sitting there. Yeah. So when I pull it out, I can see it.
Yeah.
I think my favorite might be the World.
25 years.
The World, maybe. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, I'm always drawn to it. Or Chariot. Those two come up in readings for me a lot. Or they did. I haven't had a reading in a long time.
I mean, we can change that.
I think we know someone.
Do we know somebody? I think I was like literally thinking that at the beginning. I'm like, oh, they do that. Let's do the reading of the
We could do that. But yeah, but like I think that those cards, like when you have a card that resonates with you, but I've also got cards that follow me around where I'm like, oh, I'm doing that thing I do again, right? So, but yours are both major arcana cards, so it's like those feel like kind of personality types and like lessons that you're meant to be practicing in this lifetime, and like I think that's super powerful.
Yeah. I don't know what those lessons, like why I have no idea. People tell me like, oh, those are great cards, and I'm like, okay.
So what? Well, okay. So I just met you today, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been listening to you on the podcast, but like I just met you today. But so when I think of the Chariot, I think of moving quickly towards things and trying to find the right balance of speed. Like if you're on a bicycle or a motorcycle, things get really hard when you go really fast, and they get really hard when you go really slow.
Right.
And so there's always this like trying to find the right balance of stuff.
Oh gosh, that makes so much sense. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That one sticks out to me a lot. Yeah. The World is similar to the Wheel of Fortune to me, of like where you are woven in with everything else. And so like I would also make an assumption that you have like big feels, and then you probably have to have big boundaries because there's people like you can absorb other people's energy or kind of get pulled into their stories. And so that's kind of those are the archetypes that I think about with those two cards.
Interesting. Because boundaries is a thing that I've been learning. But yeah,
been learning. Yes.
I've been learning.
Love it.
I've been working on it. Sometimes not so well. Practice. But yeah, that's funny that the Chariot, because I don't know if you're familiar with Clifton's strengths.
Yeah.
But so I have a lot of thinking strengths, but I also have some executing strengths. And like in my top 5, there's like input and intellection are way up there. But then I've got activator. And activator is the ooh shiny, let's go fast. Now. But the input and the intellection are like, we need more information and we need to think about this. So I spent a lot of years like butting heads with myself, driving myself crazy until I learned that about myself. And it's still kind of a balancing act. It's always a balancing act, but I'm better at it than I used to be.
Because it's so easy to demonize both of those, right? Like when you're sitting in your doer, to demonize your analyzer, when you're sitting in your analyzer, to demonize your doer, and you're just always beating up, and you can never have a right answer, and you can never feel good about that's Chariot. That's Chariot energy, right?
No wonder it's my favorite card.
Big time. I decided I have my Crow Tarot deck, which is the one I use all the time, so I don't have a favorite card that I have faith, on it, because I use it all the time, so there'd be no point. So I opened the box, and I'm like, oh, I wonder, I'm just going to pull the top card, because I'm fidgeting. I'm fidgeting while you guys are talking. I'm listening but fidgeting.
What'd you pull?
It's the
Wheel of Fortune.
That is hilarious. So now this makes me want to pull out. I want to pull out my cracked amethyst deck here.
Do it.
I want to see what I pull out.
These pros think they're so funny.
They are.
This flipped on me. The Magician. Okay, well that wasn't as funny as the Wheel of Fortune, but
I love it.
The Magician, like, I don't even know. I'm not familiar with the Magician so much. I'm one of the people that's like, I don't remember anything, and I don't know any of the cards. Pretty much.
But I love them, so therefore you are a reader.
Exactly.
Because you are in love with them, and you want to put the energy into it, and that is...
And you spend a lot of time with them. Even if you're not remembering.
Yes.
I remember
spend a lot of
nothing.
time with them.
Oh, the Magician. Conscious effort, skill, and ingenuity. What started out as a single grain of sand, an irritant for the oyster, has been transformed into a beautiful pearl by the oyster using layers and layers of nacre. Nacre? Well, that's what that
awesome.
is. That's so the cracked amethyst deck is the artist is Jessica Botts, I think. Jessica Bott. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a picture of an oyster with a pearl in it. She does this very simple deck, like
stunning.
Stones.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love it. I love this deck. It's got some really pretty. But the Emperor is.
Yeah.
Suspiciously like a mountain, almost mountain-like, but not quite.
It's a mountain, and it's fiery in the artistry. The sky is like fire, so it feels very volcano without being the destructiveness of a volcano. Because when I hear magician, I hear all of those things are in balance. Like your analyzer and your doer are in balance, because the magician does things with such ease that other people think it's magic. Like, I think there's an actual magical element to the magician, but also in a practical sense. Like, I got a coworker, and we all call her Magic, because she leaves that meeting, and she's already got, like, a chart and a this and a that and a summary document, and you're like, how'd you do that? I barely went to the bathroom and got a glass of water. Like,
I have been accused of that from time to time,
there we go.
Yeah. And I think it's because since, it's, like I said, it's been a while since I've, like, really done any serious readings, but, like, the chariot used to come up quite a bit, and it doesn't anymore so much. So maybe I have done better at balancing those things than I realize.
Yeah.
But it is a kind of a unique magic, because when you can get those two strengths working together, they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And the people around you appreciate it, I think, is the other piece of that. Because there's the people who don't have either one of those skill sets, and they need you to activate things and to move them forward.
Come on.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Like, I'm not really surprised by these cards right now. We're talking about 2 published authors who manage a podcast and families and this and that. I'm like, yeah, okay. Uh-huh. Yeah. These are big cards because these are powerful people. Part of my other journey is being a burlesque performer. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to step into a producer realm with that and helping producing live shows. Mm-hmm. And there are things that in my professional history I take for granted as being very natural. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, but other folks who are coming to this art from a different perspective, right? And have all these other talents that I'm like, I will never be able to dance that good. I will never be able to sing that good. Like, things that, like, blow my mind, right? And I'm like, oh, sure, I can organize a spreadsheet and make you a schedule and do the da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And so it's like, when we bring our natural talents, some of those aren't even natural. A lot of those are learned, right? We bring our existing talents to the table. It blows people away. Yeah. And then they bring their existing or natural talents to the table, and it blows us away. And I think that's what makes the world go round. Can I do a shameless plug before we cut loose here?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. Please, shameless plug away. That's what I was going to ask you to do.
We were going to ask
Well, I want to shameless plug a couple other creators. Actually, that's where I want to start.
Oh, okay.
some people who have taught me a lot, and they are Romani authors, creators, readers, and intuitives.
Okay.
This person I know as Bimba Yaga. I will probably butcher her author name is Ylva Mara Radzuski. And the book is A Practical Guide for Witches. I've taken some live classes with them. I've read this book. If you get any opportunity to be around this creator, like, do it. Everything they say will, like, just kind of explode your brain, and it's just amazing. I love her.
That. I love that.
And then there's these two folks, Paulina Stevens and Jasmina Von Thiel. They also have a podcast called Romanistan. Keep mispronouncing that word today. They tell the stories of the Romani people and their family stories. Yes, that's the word I'm trying. Okay. That's the word I keep mispronouncing. Yep, we're gonna skip it.
Yep.
Their book is The Secrets of Romani Fortune Telling, and Romanistan is their podcast, and they are also just like people who I look to as role models and teachers and people that we should all be listening to. So I want to plug them and their work, especially in giving respect to the Romani people, and the tarot practice is really important to me as a white person.
Of that in the show notes as well, so those resources will be there in our show notes.
Yes.
Awesome. That's
so
great.
Be sure to check them out. And Delle, where can everyone find you?
Yeah.
Book a reading or find your work, or find out where you're at a paint and sip and tarot night.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram at Babetriarch. Babetriarch Tarot, and you can hear about all of our offerings there. Witchy Watercolors is kind of the busiest thing, so if you're in the Portland area, check that out. They're fun. The nights are really fun. I met Jess when I went to paint watercolor, and that's how this collaboration started. So she's an incredible human. And I do online readings, I do in-person readings, and I'm now offering asynchronous readings. And then at different times of the year, like at the beginning of the Gregorian New Year, I'll do some specialty readings that are timed for that sort of thing. So you can check me out there. And if you're curious in burlesque, you can check me out at DELLE B Divine, also on Instagram. Working on a website. I don't know if I'm going to get around to it. Instagram's a little bit too easy and addictive to just sit there and share my journey. But
yes, that's fantastic.
And we didn't really talk about your burlesque other than just mentioning it at the end. And I am so disappointed in myself because I knew about this and I didn't even put in a question about it. But is there... that might be a whole nother interview, though. Like,
we might have to have Delle back and talk about burlesque and other things.
Yeah. I'm like, what can I say shortly about burlesque? Burlesque has been an incredible journey for me. Again, touching on that topic we talked about before of like getting into our bodies and being in tune with our stories. And that's been such a critical piece of that adventure for me, especially starting it in my mid-40s and jumping in there and making sense of an aging body, making sense of a body that I'm no longer starving like I was for so many years, and really just figuring out so many things through that artistry. And it is a big part of my healing journey. So I mentioned the Moon Circle earlier, and you can learn about that and more burlesque stuff at Body Magic Temple. And they have online and local offerings. So they're pretty great. You all are such a delight. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you
so much for being with us.
Yes.
Thank you for all the art you're making. And as a consumer of it, it's absolutely delightful. And Amy, I'm so glad you leaned over that day and you're like, what are you doing over there? Can I get a reading? It's brought a lot of good things into my life. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks so much for coming. Be sure to check out the show notes for Delle and all of their things that they talked about, all the different books and decks and fun stuff. And thanks once again for joining us. And we're going to have you back. I'm sorry. That's just all there is to it.
We'll have another cocktail sometime.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, friends.
And we're back.
That was fab.
It was.
And And I need to schedule some with them because I had my one that I did with them last August, but it's been 9 months now. I've like practically had a whole baby at this point. The baby of moving to Portugal. I want you guys to go check them out and get a reading from them. Because we're cool and we're fun, we're going to pull a card each. And I'm going to pull a card from a tarot deck. So I'm pulling from the Crow Tarot deck that we talked about in our interview. This is my favorite. This is my go-to tarot. So I've shuffled during our break while you were hearing the interview. It's like a commercial break for us. And I'm going to cut Justice. Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay. So this card is so cool.
Ooh,
there's a crow holding up like the scales of justice. And there's a crown floating over their head. They have like a red scarf kind of wrapped around their eyes because Justice is blind. On their right side is a sword. So Justice is one of the major arcana cards. I looked them up because I get scared when we're talking on camera and I'm going to get it wrong, even though I do know what these are. But for Justice is all about, obviously, fairness and balance and the law. And that's very obvious from the picture. And that's one thing we didn't really talk about with the tarot deck, because a lot of times, regardless of the artwork, you can look at the artwork and discern the general overarching theme of the card. So, I had the scales of justice. Justice is blind. So this says, the crow flies upward with wings open. He has nothing to conceal. His honesty has earned him the respect of his peers as they know he will take a balanced and fair approach. This crow of justice brings a message to take the time to see the problem or difficult challenge from all sides before making a decision. This kind of really goes back to what we were talking about before we talked to Delle, about if something's giving you a knee-jerk, take the time to look at all sides of it before you make any decisions.
That is excellent and very on topic. So I've been shuffling my deck and this whole time, and this one's, but I just pulled this one off the top. Rest and renewal. It's got like an Art Nouveau style little fairy, and she's leaning on a crescent moon that has basically lots of little moon-like moons. Moon-like moons.
Her wings are butterfly-like.
Yeah, they're butterfly.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Very pretty. I mean, rest and renewal is pretty obvious. And we were talking about how busy May has been.
I infected your deck with my exhaustion.
She was listening. So the rest and renewal card reminds you of the importance of taking time to restore yourself. A tired fairy rests peacefully on the crescent moon, embodying the natural rhythm of pause and rejuvenation. Just as nature has its cycles of activity and rest, so too do you need moments of stillness to replenish your energy and spirit. When this card appears, it's a gentle nudge to slow down and honor your need for rest. Let go of any pressure to keep moving and allow yourself the grace of relaxation and renewal. Rest is not idleness. It is a vital part. Let me repeat that for those in the back. Rest is not idleness. It is a vital part of growth and well-being. Embrace this time to recharge, knowing you will return to your path with renewed clarity and strength.
I love that. And
it's me. I'm the one in the back.
I might also be the one in the back. I tried to be the one under my desk during that, but so one of the things I wanted to say as we're getting ready to say goodbye to you this week, which, we have to, I'm sorry, is that starting the first week of June, there will be a weekly-ish series called 2-Minute Tarot.
Okay.
That'll come out every Witchy Wednesday.
Yes.
I like my alliteration, but I didn't want it to be Tuesday 2-Minute Tarot because Tuesday's the day our episodes come out. Witchy Wednesdays will have 2-Minute Tarot, and I'm going to just do little 2-minute or less overviews of each of the cards in the tarot deck.
Awesome.
Starting with an introduction into tarot tomorrow. and then we'll go through all of the cards, starting with the major arcana and then moving through each of the minor arcana. So I will be doing this for approximately, how many cards are in a tarot deck, Shéa?
78.
So look forward to the next 78 plus weeks of me doing this. We'll also take breaks to talk about different spreads and different ways that you can use the tarot cards. So you don't have to wait 79 weeks to get started.
That would be a while, but that's cool because when it's done, it's going to be amazing. Well, actually, it's going to be amazing the whole time, and I'm actually excited to watch because I love tarot and oracle, but I do struggle a little bit with like remembering, you know, the meanings and things, and that's why I really liked when Delle was telling us about how their mentor made them stick to oracle cards for like a month or something so they could get the feel of being more intuitive. And I'm like, I should probably try that. I haven't yet, but it is in my to-do list.
Well, it just happened. The interview just finished.
Yeah. But I'm excited for 2-minute tarots. It's going to be exciting. So, Amy, where can they find out about our decks, about the books that Delle spoke of, about how to get in touch with Delle and so on?
Well, Shéa, in the show notes.
Fabulous. So
check out the description on YouTube, the show notes. If you're listening, head over to our Instagram. We'll have more details there. And that's where we'll have pictures of the stuff we talked about today, recipes, links to everything. And it will be amazing.
And sign up for our newsletter so you get notified of when there's some new episodes up. And be sure to like, subscribe, share,
comment, tell us about your favorite deck.
Yes.
Really want to know what your favorite deck is.
Please enable us. We want you to enable us.
Yes, because I don't have enough decks yet.
Exactly.
And so I need more. Clearly.
Ain't no such thing as too many.
That is true. Moderation in all things except this. And also maybe gin.
Well, thank you for joining us for our adventures in tarot today. And we'll see you next time on the pod.
Bye.